Teknoloji girişimcisi ve HyperIn'in kurucusu Markus Porvari bu köprüleri nasıl inşa edebileceğimizi anlatacak bize. Alkışlarınızla Markus Porvari sahnemizde. With your applause please, Markus Porvari. Hi. Welcome.
Merhaba. Hi, how are you? Are we doing good? It's afternoon at Smarties. Who's doing good? Raise your hands. Are we having energy still? Great. So let me just go right in. My name is Markus Porvari. I'm the CEO and founder of HyperIn'in, the retail real estate management platform. So how many of you guys are working actually on retail or retail real estate? Just raise your hands again. Okay, there's a few, so there's definitely something for you guys here. So, going back to the memory lane, as you remember, a couple of decades ago, the shopping malls were always built in the same way. So you have a big hallway in the middle and all the stores in front of you. So there was not that much of need for those digitized tools. And also, the shopping mall management offices were, in many cases, located at the basement level, at the down basement level without any internet connectivity. So, you know, HyperIn'in was very fortunate to be there in the beginning when we started the digitized revolution called the PropTech, property technology. And now after 5G and new mobile smart devices and tablets, of course, it's a totally different game nowadays with the retail real estate digitalization. And today we're going to talk about actual real-life cases and how to take advantage of these digital opportunities, as well as machine learning and artificial intelligence, something that we have been learning quite a lot on today's presentations. And there's a lot of funding going into these digitalization projects, so $20 billion, which is equivalent in euros. And this amount has actually been decreasing for the last year. Maybe it's because of the sign of the times or inflation or the lack of venture capital investments. But today, this year, we're expecting it to be off the roof because of the AI and machine learning technologies, as you know. And there's still many projects regarding the ESG ongoing. So this is actually a very interesting case from the European countries, one of our centers, which is already full 100% carbon neutral. So getting solar powered from the solar panels from the roof enables all of those digital signage screens to be powered along with the other maintenance equipment. And when the customers are addressing us for the first time, they usually ask how to get the big data. How do I get my big data is the question that I ask, and I always reply that, what is your digital strategy? Why do you want to collect the big data for? So just over half of the retailer and retail real estates have the digital strategy in place, and this has been even increasing. That one of the most important things is always to have the clear focus, vision, and a mission when you want to do something regarding the digitalization. And I firmly believe that the actual digital twin of the property will be the platform, whether it's software as a service, platform as a service, or even infrastructure as a service. You need to run your best of breed applications ranging from your tenant apps, from your sales reporting, from your advertisement sales, and specialty leasing tools under a one centrally managed cloud, where you also have the consumer omni-channel services to derive that big data, the oil of the industry that everybody is looking for. And 57%, only half of the surveyed operators are improving the consumer experience, and this should be the number one on the list, how to improve your consumer digital customer journey, how to attract more footfall into your properties to get those analytics in order to run your campaigns and make the hyper-local experiences successful. As we've been seeing the presentation today, the trends driven by social media influencers and AI are affecting the consumer purchasing decisions today, so you don't want to left out of the competition. Also, 88% of the consumers said that the omni-channel is important, so this is an actual very important discovery that people, especially after COVID-19, are looking for the physical products as well, but they need to be paid online and purchased online as well. So roughly half of the surveyed consumers also said that they want to have the physical option along with the digital option, and 25% of the consumers said that even though buying an online products, it's important to have the physical storefront. And no wonder the world is shifting in this way. So Amazon and the big conglomerates are actually now going into the retail, opening up their retail stores. And then the physical brick and mortar retailers are going more and more online and e-commerce. So the world is kind of shifting in that perspective as well. And let's talk also a little bit about the interesting topic. So AI and machine learning. This is something that we've been discussing all day, also here at the Smarties. So these are actually two different things. So with machine learning, you can learn your software to actually teach itself and be a better software through algorithms. And then you have the AI on the different corner, which is not really the AI that we see in the scientific movies, that the generative AI where the focus should be, but it's more like a language model based on ChatGPT-4 nowadays that you're using. So the content might be false sometimes because the ChatGPT content is taken online from the internet source curated by human beings, so it's not necessarily always true. So whenever you're talking with your ChatGPT powered software, you better be sure that the content is correct, because that's not necessarily always the case. And there aren't that many business-to-business solutions on the AI yet, but for example, sales reporting is one of those things that you could really actually boom your forecasting for the future, as this is very traditionally done in the retail, that you take your sales forecast period from the previous month as a basis, or you take the next month from the last year. And this is not really a smart way to do the sales forecasting, especially if you are a publicly listed company and you have to answer your shareholders of your performance. So how about you take the energy crisis, the inflation, war, consumer purchasing indexes, even weather projections into the equation, because from the Nordic countries where I'm coming from, the weather can be very harsh and cold during the winter times, and during the summer it's hot, maybe within a couple of months, so people go out, they don't want to spend their time in shopping malls. And it's vice versa in Asia, in Singapore, for example, where I'm mostly spending my time. So people go to the centers to cool down from the hot weather. So on the advertisement sales part, how many of you are actually selling your property digitized or offline physical advertisements online? So it's easy to do it with the marketing platforms nowadays, just like Google does with Google AdWords. So selling those specialty leasing pop-up shops, digitized advertisement online can create a revenue stream of at least 10% coming from non-rental sources to your retail, real estate or retail stores. So very easy to tap into internet revenue stream. And whatever you do in terms of digitalization, everything needs to be running with apps. So naturally, your store manager, your tenants, your personnel are using their mobile phones and tablets to actually look at the performance on real time. And this is something that the COVID-19 has definitely speeded up, so you couldn't actually be in the present physically in the retail real estate to manage it. So whatever you do, you need to do it with the apps. And there's plenty of apps for those business to consumer cases. So with the ChatGPT enabled AI solutions, you can have a very highly engaged and social apps for the consumers to actually try in a virtual fitting rooms your clothing or products or services they are willing to purchase online. And as I said, we're going to talk about a few cases, actual real-life cases that are happening now. This is a nice picture from the Hong Kong subway system. So how many of you have been actually in Hong Kong? Just raise your hands. Okay, there's a few. So those of you that have been in Hong Kong know that the subway, the metro system is the only way to go from one location to another during those peak traffic hours. And it's all controlled by this company called MTR, one of the biggest mass transportation service providers in the world. And they have also capitalized their mass transportation systems by building railway stations and terminals and bus stops in near vicinity of their retail space. So when people are actually exiting the subway, they need to walk past through the retail area. And when MTR addressed us for the first time, they only wanted 3 things. So those were actually more easier said than done. So they wanted to have an indoor navigation that worked without any hardware installations, also deep under the sea level and up in the open air where the digital customer journey for MTR users in many cases begin. And secondly, they wanted to, of course, derive the big data. What is the conversion rate from those consumers exiting the subway system and walking through the retail area? And thirdly, they wanted to reward the customers. So in order for them to install the MTR apps, they wanted to, of course, give something in back. And on top of those things, 3 things, they wanted to emphasize on the consumer privacy. So one thing that you notice that when you go to a website, there's always the legal text and a big user annoyance, or you install a new app that you will get bombarded by this user consent agreements which you don't really understand. So we shouldn't stop innovating and find new solutions for those consumer apps in order to overcome this issue but still keep the consumer privacy and data intact. But our team did a really great work, so we launched our first MTR apps in Hong Kong before the COVID-19, so they come with the beautiful 3D maps with the indoor positioning ranging from 1 to 2 meters indoors. So we use actually in this case multiple different technology, what we call the building magnetic mapping. So we use those concrete walls that are surrounding us even here that have steel inside them. So we didn't need to install any beacons or Wi-Fi hotspots or routers, but we managed to use the existing infrastructure to pinpoint the usual location. And also, the digital customer journey doesn't always need to begin with the app. You can also use it from your wearable technology. So even I have 2 watches. One is to tell the time, the other one is actually to have all the digital engagements, my payments and exercise routines in one place. But you can still use those same functions on the navigation and, for example, finding your car in a heavily parked car park. So you can actually scan the license plates when the consumers come with their families, those big spenders, and you know then from the IE reported data that where are they living. So an important fact for the store owner or the landlord to actually know where your customers are living, so you can then reach better those digitized campaigns to attract the footfall traffic from those parts of the cities. And you can still find your family and friends using the same app if they give you your consent. And it all comes to the AI-powered tools like sales reporting, footfall analytics, and other big data that can form a footfall heat map of the location. So MTR, for the first time, found out what is the heavily traffic areas in their shopping malls, and there you can also see if the tenants' shops are not performing in that area, maybe there's a problem with the tenant mix. So an excellent tool to actually use by commercial management to do evasive action based on the real-time AI-powered data. And one of the things that I wanted to show you is also another possibility to navigate indoors. So there is an AR-powered map availability in the MTR app. So you have always the 3D map, which is a very traditional, you can see the 3D maps anywhere. But AR is offering new engaging opportunities to find the products and services that you're looking for using your smartphone on the location. And I fairly believe this is the future of the wayfinding. So combining the physical and digital interface and making the baby steps towards the metaverse, something that we haven't really discussed that much today, as it's more been about AI, and last year it was more about metaverse, but let's see how the technology companies are doing their products for the market. So as you can see, and you have the actual wayfinding in a very engaging way, and you can still see the same offers, real offers from the tenants hovering on top of your smartphone. So you can also enrich this experience by offering e-commerce solutions, and even if you can find click and collect items or restaurants, for example, you can do a table booking using these new navigation technologies. And this is another case from Singapore that I wanted to show you, from Fraser's property. So I don't know how many of you have been in Singapore, just raise your hands. So there's also a few. So you know the Fraser's property have many shopping centers. There's 6 million people living in a very habited island, and the ecosystem is very open. All of the payment systems have their APIs, and Fraser's is a really big company owning also residential, mixed use and shopping malls. So by installing the Fraser's property app, you can easily start collecting points on all of your purchases from the Fraser's powered shops or from the office spaces. So you can use these points also in third-party services. For example, you can pay your cab ride from the points that you're collecting from the Fraser's stores. And with the same ecosystem, it becomes a digital wallet, so you have actually points, meaning the digital currency, which you can use then for restaurants or other opportunities throughout Singapore later. It's just scanning the receipts or using the QR code, you're able to pay with your e-wallet coming from your loyalty program and your purchases. It's just a great example how with an open APIs and SDKs you can build an ecosystem that's not just related to one property, but that can affect the whole ecosystem. But I think we're running out of time soon, so these are few of the cases that I really wanted to show you, and hopefully there is something that we can also show you next year here in Turkey. But that concludes my presentation, so thank you so much for having me. Teşekkür ederim.